ECSI fans, do you want to revolutionize your sports investing habits? Allow me to tell you about WagerWire. WagerWire is an app that helps you become a superior bettor by allowing you to sync all of your sports books and track all of your bets in one place. See your current action, your betting history, and stats. You can also sign up for sportsbooks and collect bonus offers. Follow them at WagerWire on X, as they're the best account on the platform. Head to the App Store or Play Store now and search WagerWire to download the app. From the ECSI Sports Studios and the #1 sports investors in America, we bring you The Closing Bell. As the market closes, legends Jeff Dawson and Riley Magnuson bring you all the sports investing tips for tonight's matchups. If you want to learn more from the two legends at the desk, make sure you stay tuned to The Closing Bell.
Good afternoon / evening, ladies and gentlemen from all around the globe. This is East Coast Sports Investors Closing Bell for Thursday, December 7th. I am your solo host for the day, Riley Magnuson. Taking things a solo today, other than a solo show. I don't know how else I need to say that, but rocking through a most likely lightning fast show here with only a handful of games up on the dock, my friends. Had a great show 24 hours ago on the Closing Bell. Had some decent looks last night. Obviously, not a ton of stuff going on last night as well. NBA games going on throughout the NBA. Get a handful of unders. The Cleveland Cavaliers take care of business. Just to do a little recap here, that is one that we got to the window for sure there. An under in Miami and Toronto, under in Minnesota, under in Brooklyn and Atlanta, even on a high total there. So it ended up being quite a bit of unders as we kind of predicted there. A couple that went over, obviously, but a lot of unders on the NBA slate last night. And now we turn the page to the semifinals of the end-season tournament, which we'll talk about here in a little bit. 2 games tonight in Vegas. Lakers and Pelicans, the second one. First one, Pacers and Bucks. We'll talk about that in a second. I had some college basketball games last night. Marquette wins by 1 billion points last night. We were a little wishy-washy on it as far as the spread, at least. I think we both were thinking Marquette was going to win that one. Did not think it was going to be that lopsided there. But as I'm saying, tonight, really only one game we're talking about from my perspective that I'm interested in, Iowa State. A little Big Ten action there, and obviously Iowa State's not a Big Ten team, but great in-state rivalry that I've always enjoyed. And a couple of, not title contending teams by any means, but 2, potential NCAA tournament teams, at least one of them, if not both of them for sure there. So, and then obviously tonight's NFL game, the beauty that is the Patriots and the Steelers, a total of 30 on the full game total, 30 points for this beauty of an NFL game here, with one of the teams being an above 500 teams, 13 games into the season. So that's kicking off the NFL week this week, obviously, and a Patriots team 2-10, very much in the tankathon for the 2 quarterbacks, whatever it is that they're looking for. Caleb Williams, Drake May, that is. And obviously the Carolina Panthers, the only team lower in the standings than them at the one win, 1 victory there. So you got the Patriots tonight, Steelers taking place in Pittsburgh tonight. Like I said, 7-5 Pittsburgh, huge game for them. Obviously a team that's been struggling pretty horrifically offensively. Obviously not great all season long, but the last handful of weeks especially looking ugly on the offensive side of the ball. And obviously, we don't need to talk about too much what's going on offensively for that Patriots team. No double-digit points outputs in these last 3 weeks, whereas the Steelers team, they're getting double-digit points these last 3 weeks, but 10, 16, and 10, obviously, in a 1-2 stretch over 3 weeks, not getting the job done, aside from the one against the Bengals there, which could end up being big. But if this Pittsburgh team loses this game tonight, they're in a world of trouble, obviously, as far as the playoff picture is concerned. With the this one being one of the games that you would consider very winnable on their schedule. But the logjam that is the 7-5 through 6-6 teams, 5 seed through 11 seed, not to mention a couple of 5 and 7 teams that obviously have some pretty massive flaws, but by all stretches not quite dead yet. So this one is I would say, a must-win for the Pittsburgh Steelers here at home against a 2-win Patriots team with not a gauntlet of a schedule after that, but teams that are very much in the wild card race. So you wouldn't say it's a must-win, because if they win, 3 in the last 4 after that, they'll probably be in at 10-7. But again, I don't think you can expect that with the way they're playing right now. And you got the Colts team after this, that's also 7-5 right now. Bengals team 6-6 that looked a lot better the other night without Joe Burrow. A Seahawks team who's not in the NFC, but obviously could be potentially fighting for their own playoff lives on the other side of the coin. And then finish that off with the Ravens in week 18 there for the Steelers. So, mad game. In my opinion, you wouldn't technically call it a must-win, but if they lose this, I'm going to go ahead and say that they just aren't making the playoffs. You might even say if they win this, they're not making the playoffs, but I think they'll have a better, obviously, a path if they do win. And if they lose, I think they're on a clear path of really falling off the wagon and probably finding themselves out of the playoffs. Even by the week's end, if they lose this game potentially. I don't know what the tiebreakers would be if they slip behind this, but there's too many teams that can win some games and either even with them or potentially pass them in Cleveland and Indy's case and Houston's case. So not sure what quite to expect out of this game tonight, because you have a Patriots team who defensively, obviously they haven't been playing outside of this last game against the Chargers, who, despite their own flaws, their offense is at least putting up points, but 10-6, 10-7, 6-0 these last 3 games for the Patriots. So their defense obviously is doing what needs to do to put themselves in a position of potentially winning these games. But obviously the offense is as putrid as they get in the NFL right now. Even when we're talking about a Pittsburgh Steelers team, an offense that has been also very putrid, just not quite that same level of disgusting. So it's tough to really want to get into this one tonight, in my opinion here. You got to really feel confident that, there could be a bounce back in points, whether it be offensively from either of these two teams. You get another week without Matt Canada and a potentially different offensive approach. But you got a Mitch Trubisky at quarterback, who obviously is a little bit of a question mark in most weeks, and you've got a defense that's playing well and probably could give Mitch Trubisky some issues there. So to just keep going with this game, I don't know where I lean on this game. I want to say I lean to a 2-10 Patriots team as less than touchdown underdogs, but obviously I am not trying to swallow that pill and get in front of this losing streak train that is going on right now. And I certainly am not taking this Pittsburgh Steelers team -6 against anybody right now. So unless you think this is going to be another 10-7 game, 13-10 game, and you want to fire away in the under, or you think there's going to be a big bounce back offensively, and even a big bounce back would mean 17-14, and we're talking about a 31-point total here, that would be the only way that I could endorse the over. So if you're kind of in the middle and you don't know what to do, I think this is a good one to just take it easy on and take a chill pill on. So I might be interested. I wanted to double check what I've had some success on some of these Thursday night games, taking some swings at the kicker props, and I think I might be 3-0 or something like that on some kicker props. Field goals made, I only see Boswell on this one, over 1.5, -145. Ryland for New England, over 4.5, -115. That's kicking points, over 4.5 at -115. So that's 2 field goals right there for Ryland, or a field goal and a couple touchdowns, but obviously that's 17 points right there. So Boswell over 6.5 on the kicking points, 130. So it's kind of ugly. You get if you want 2 touchdowns for New England instead of the over 4.5, 2 PATs made for New England, plus 165 from Ryland there. So. And I don't even know what the team props for touchdowns are, but obviously this one is ugly. Total touchdowns, New England over a half touchdown, -245. Don't know if I can find a over 1.5 or not. Over 1.5 touchdowns for the Steelers, I'm seeing -150. So I do think you could see. I am leaning towards maybe like a 17-14 type game. Is as I was saying, that is where I would lean if I had to do anything. I think they could score a few more points, but I think you've got a Patriots team that's trying to, while they are organizationally probably trying to lose, you got some guys that got a lot of pride that don't want to continue this embarrassing streak, and you should have a Pittsburgh team that's trying to step up and flex their muscles and win this game. So I am very torn on this one. My mind says there's going to be a few more points. Still an ugly game, but maybe a few more points and it goes over. Gut tells me this one could be another 13-10 game. So really, I'm staying away from it. Usually give out some touchdown scoring props, but the best odds are plus 165 for Najee or Jalen Warren there for the Steelers. Plus 190 for Zeke on the Patriots side of things, and then it drops off quite a bit after that. So I think if you take a touchdown score, you almost have to take a flyer on like a Hunter Henry plus 550 or Juju 650. I don't even know here. Even the defense, I don't know. Deontay Johnson 330. I know he just had his first touchdown, so maybe not. Pickens 320. Freiermuth 310. I'll go Freiermuth 310. I'll go the tight ends, Freiermuth and Hunter Henry to score touchdowns if I'm taking anything. Though I'm not, Jalen Warren or Najee feels like the easier choice for the Steelers. But if you think there's going to be a touchdown, you might as well try and take a bigger swing and have it happen with one of these bigger odds where guys that are involved in the offense and are going to be there if they are there. So, again, I'm staying far away from it. I am not too interested in doing anything out of this game, but if I had to do anything, maybe those are some of the things I would do there. So, moving over to the NBA and the in-season tournament, 2 games that we have here in Vegas. First one here starting up pretty soon, if I'm not mistaken, here in about 10 minutes. In Vegas, so I think a lot of people probably were unaware of that. I personally thought it was in my head had it chalked up a little later than 4 Central Time, 2 a local time, 5 Eastern Time. So this one is happening quick. If you want to get something in on the Bucks and Pacers, get in on it quickly. But a pretty historically high. I saw something today. I don't know if it's accurate. Highest total in 30 years. And, maybe back in the day, there would have been a higher total, but in the 80s and 90s, I don't know when you would have had a total this high. I could be wrong, obviously. So a historically high total here for the Pacers and Bucks. And typically, a 250 total like we've seen with the Pacers typically leads us to go over. But when you've got one so high that people are kind of talking about it as historically high, I don't know. I'm a little torn on this one as well. You've got a Bucks team that's also putting up a ton of points right now. Their games are kind of going at a much higher pace right now. Their offense is firing, and they're welcome to playing at that higher pace. But I'm a little torn. It does seem a little inflated with both these two teams here. So you could get a game ending at 250 and somehow it goes under. So I'm staying away from it. I honestly lean towards, despite us typically feeling like it's a statement, feeling like it could stay under that 257 number there. But we might get a 140 to 130 game here. And this one goes flying over. Does feel like the Pacers do have a chance of covering this game or potentially winning this game here. We've seen that they've kind of had that fire for these games here. The Bucks obviously themselves have taken care of business there. So I will lean towards the Pacers, but I'll back off a little bit here. The Pacers have actually won one of the games in this matchup already this year, 126 to 124. So that's a 250 total right there. And the Pacers win by 2 as 1.5 point dogs in Indy. Now we're 5 point dogs here on a neutral floor. So I will. I'll lean towards it being right around there, but I'll lean towards the Pacers with the motivation that they've shown kind of in some of these games here. But anything can happen. This Bucks team has risen to the occasion, so I'll say the Bucks win, Pacers cover. How about that? In this last game, Pelicans and the Lakers. 2-point spread for the Lakers in Vegas on the neutral floor there, 231 on the total. I've had quite a bit of success with this Pelicans team. I would say as far as betting on them, it's only been 3-4 times. Probably the team that I've had the most success on this year, actually. I believe I had them in that quarterfinal game against the Kings. I did plus 3.5 there. And I've had them a couple times as well. A team that had a couple little streakiness, hot start, then slow. Week or two, ugly losing streak or something along those lines to get them under 500, kind of lose some public faith in them a little bit, and then I kind of backed them a little bit, assuming they'd bounce back and start to look like a better team as time goes on. And so far, that's kind of been the case. Obviously, got a Lakers team that's still playing fairly well in a handful of games. Sometimes their defense shows up and it works out, and they held these teams under 110 or so. Every once in a while, you get them laying an egg and not showing up defensively, and they lose those games typically. But the 230 total, kind of right around where this Lakers team typically lives. I'm not putting too much stock into it a little bit there. Pelicans are pretty sporadic on their totals, also kind of live around this number there. But I'll lean towards the under. But I'm kind of backing off of this one because like I said, I've gotten a lot of victories with this Pelicans team. So I'm a little biased with the way they've treated me so far, and I'm leaning towards them here as a short dog to a Lakers team that obviously still getting the public perception with LeBron, AD, 13-9, playing all right basketball there. So I will lean towards the Pelicans tonight. But again, like I said, I'm kind of backing off, not slapping me in the face as much as a handful of these other Pelicans games have with the confidence that they've had in them previously the last few weeks there. So I will lean towards them, but again, kind of leaving this one on the desk and watching that one for entertainment there. And maybe I'll put a little pizza and beer money on the Pelicans tonight in Vegas to move on to the championship there. Whether or not, there's any motivation of TV ratings, as we've talked about in the NBA previously, we don't talk about that, but sometimes there is a little influence underlying there. Obviously, a Bucks-Lakers in-season tournament championship would probably be a lot higher viewed than a Pelicans-Pacers in-season tournament championship. So take that for what it's worth, if you will. Don't know if oh God, why am I drawing a blank on his name? Don't know if the equalizer. Obviously, there's no series equalizing going on. I am mad at myself that I can't think of this NBA ref's name. Anyone who knows obviously knows of him. NBA ref equalizer. Come on, it's going to drive me crazy if I don't know who I'm talking about here. My God, Chris Paul, 0-13. Who am I talking about? No, it's not going to come up for me. Scott Foster, thank God. Scott Foster is who I'm trying to think of. I don't know if Scott Foster is in the building tonight or not. That is if Scott Foster is on either or both of these games, then go for the Lakers and the Pelicans. For what it's worth there. Thank you for bearing with me as I tried to figure out who Scott Foster's name was. I am mad at myself that I couldn't think of that. Last game up, as I mentioned, nothing too crazy out of the college basketball slate. Only a few games here. A couple of them, I think, earlier in the day, a D1 team's playing. I don't know if it's D2 teams or lower or something along those lines. And then a couple of other mid-major games that not really probably not too many people watching those games, but if you're watching some college basketball tonight, you're probably watching Iowa and Iowa State. Kind of a big number here in Ames. Iowa State, the host team for this one. And Iowa, in recent memory, has kind of dominated this matchup. Obviously, it's had a handful of pretty good teams. Iowa, and kind of typically a very clashing style of basketball that these two play, obviously, with Iowa, the fast pace, firing up shots, and Iowa State, especially last year, but slow it down, grind you out with defense, not really doing much offensively type team there. Not to say that Iowa State is different this year stylistically, but they are a little bit better. I would say quite a bit better. I'm not saying they're a top 25 offensive team, but as far as if we're looking at KenPom adjusted offensive efficiency, I had it up a second ago. I want to say they're in the 60s, top 65 teams or so adjusted offensive efficiency right now. Up from somewhere in the 120 range last year. And if anyone watched them knows, obviously a very, very good defense. And I think they're top 10 adjusted defensive efficiency right now, similar to what they were last year. But, again, a offensive team that is just a lot more efficient and is able to, pace themselves a little offensively more. And if they can stay at that level and their defense is firing through that Big 12 schedule, they're a really, really nice dark horse in that Big 12 conference there. So I think that is why you're seeing the 7.5 on top of, as far as I was concerned, 5-3. They had some games where they're putting up a boatload of points, but the three teams that they've faced bigger opponents, 3 out of 4. They had a nice game against Seton Hall as short favorites and won that one 85-72. But Creighton, Oklahoma, and Purdue all have taken care of this Iowa team. And Iowa's offense hasn't been able to do it quite enough themselves. Still high pace, but just don't really have that one go-to scorer. They're kind of relying on some guys that typically are, secondary players that typically would get hot. They've kind of relying on them to lead the team and be hot, a little more consistently than you would normally expect them to be. 153.5 on the game total obviously is a bit higher and a lot more closer to where Iowa lives. If you go back to last year, I think the number you're getting right now is a little bit of a revenge factor. Obviously, you had the in-state rivalry. This is a pretty heated one. Iowa, if you remember last year, beat the pants off of Iowa State, 75-56. Just an embarrassing performance from Iowa State in Iowa City. Now you got them coming back to Ames, Iowa, and that's, I believe, why you've got an inflated, kind of an inflated number. I do feel like it is a statement. It's a tough one to call because they are so stylistically different, though. That is still why I'm hesitating. So I do think Iowa State wins and get this revenge and kind of turns the tide of the last 5-6 years or so, or however long it's, obviously Iowa's controlled this matchup for a good majority of time, but the last 5-6 years or so, Iowa's had some really good teams and taking care of this matchup. So I'll lean towards Iowa State. But at the end of the day, I'm kind of torn on that spread. It's either going to be a close game and it's going to be a tough-fought game, or one of these teams is going to win by 15, 20 points like we've seen the last couple of years here. So it is a tough one to call. But I will say Iowa State is going to get this win tonight. That is where I'm leaning out of college basketball and the Big Ten, Big 12 matchup, in-state rivalry there. So without further ado, about 20 minutes into the show, I am going to go ahead and get on out of here. Like I said, really only 4 games to talk about, 1 NFL, 2 NBA, 1 college basketball, and then we're moving the heck on from here. I know Jeff Dawson is going to be on Radio Row for Army and Navy tomorrow. That is an awesome occurrence, achievement, whatever you want to call it. So definitely Sports Matt Radio, check him out there. And if you're out there, obviously go find him and see what's up to him. So excited for that Army-Navy game on Saturday. Going to be a big, both teams 5-6, so it should be a good one. Really close matchup there, as it typically is. So I'm always excited for that one, and will be as per usual this weekend. So thank you to anyone who stopped by. If you haven't, please go ahead and check out our partner and sponsor, WagerWire. Thank you, Russell, for stopping by. And if you haven't downloaded WagerWire, please go and do so ASAP. It is going to help you be a much smarter and better and more resourceful for your long-term future of sports betting. So please go ahead and do that. And without further ado, I will go ahead and get on out of here. Thank y'all for stopping by. We will see y'all next week. Thank you.